Today, we will talk about the controversial topic of death, but we'll also discuss the possibility of reversing it. I know this might sound totally crazy to some of you, and you might be ready to close this video, but hear me out for a minute. Traditionally, death is viewed as a single moment. In one moment, someone is completely alive, and in the next, they're completely dead. This is a widely accepted assumption about death, but let's examine that assumption a little more closely. If you were walking down the street in 1950 and your heart stopped, you would be considered dead. Just 10 years later, after the development of CPR, this would no longer be the case. Today, we know that someone's heart can stop for minutes and still be resuscitated. Someone who would have been considered dead in 1950 could have been saved and gone on to live a healthy life with the medical practices of today. So, if a person's heart had stopped in 1950, were they truly dead? We would argue no, they weren't really dead, they just weren't savable by the medical technology of the specific time in which they died. When someone dies today, it means that there is nothing more that current medical science can do to help them. In the same way that someone who was considered fully dead in 1950 could have been savable today, it's very likely that someone who is considered fully dead today could be savable by the medical practices of the future. As our medical technology has advanced, so has our definition of death. From the perspective of an individual lifespan, it's easy to view death as this one inevitable moment, something that has remained constant and unavoidable throughout our history. However, when we zoom out and look at the progress of medical practices over long periods of time, we quickly see our assumptions about death challenged. Nowadays, someone is considered dead when their heart has stopped for 4 to 6 minutes. This is how long the brain can go without oxygen before our current technology cannot save them. New experimental treatments have been able to prevent brain damage even after more than 10 minutes of warm cardiac arrest. It is widely expected that molecular repair technologies in the future will be able to extend the frontiers of resuscitation far beyond 10 minutes. Already, today's definition of death is becoming obsolete. It's important to remember that although in our minds, death is a single moment in time, in reality, death is a process. After legal death, there are still biological processes happening in the body. As oxygen depletes, cells slowly begin the process of self-recycling. Depending on the conditions and temperature of the body, this process can be significantly slowed down and even stopped. This is the fundamental idea behind cryopreservation. Cryopreservation can put the body into a complete biological pause, or as we call it, into biostasis. Proponents of cryonics are well aware that there are many challenges to be overcome before revival is possible. However, just because these life-saving technologies aren't available yet, and it's maybe difficult to imagine them now, doesn't mean that they won't ever be available. We may not be able to treat cryopreserved patients today, but if we pause the process of death, then these patients may live to see a world that can save them. Thanks for watching this video. If you don't want to miss future videos about cryopreservation and longevity in general, make sure to subscribe to our channel. And if you want to read more about cryopreservation, make sure to visit tomorrowbiostasis.com.